I was always watching Sac Republic because I knew how close they were, and I saw their captain Emmer Clementa he did his ACL. His ACL was done. And then I was watching their games, and I was like, man, every single game they've played there was a new right back. Every single game. And they were struggling. At the time, they were like number one in conference, but they still were like, they were either struggling or they're dropping some games. And I think late July, early August, a couple weeks after our PDL season, I reached out to Sean, and I just seen the lineup kept changing. I was like, man, they don't have an outside back. And at Fuego, that's time that was my first time really playing outside back. I was consistent, and I was doing really well. I felt like I was playing my best soccer I played. So I call Sean and I say, hey, call Sac Republic, call their coach and say, listen, just give this guy a chance. Just give him a chance to come in and train, because I just knew, I was like, if they give me that chance, I can make the team. So he's like, okay, I'm gonna call Adam. He calls Adam. He's like, hey Adam, I wanted to ask you about Elliott. He's like, really? He's like, because I was just about to call you about Elliott. And he's like, no way. I just got off the phone with him. He's like, yeah, we wanna bring him in for a trial. This was on a Sunday, I think, because they just played the night before, and that's when I was watching. He calls me back. He's like, yeah, hey, Adam just told me he was gonna call me about you. And I was like, you're kidding me. He's like, yeah. He's like, he wants you there tomorrow. Can you be up there? I was like, yeah. So grabbed all my stuff. Went to my old house at Eureka. I stayed. Shout out Brian Ford, Eureka House, and all the crew. Went to Eureka. Stayed the night. Woke up. Went straight to Republic training. They train at Consumnes River College in Elk Grove. Really nice little training setup. And I don't know what it was, but I just knew that I was ready. Like my mentality was, this wasn't like a nerve-wracking moment. This was like, I belong here. And that was my whole, and I think that's also a big part of like making that next jump, is like, you have to have the mentality that like, you are good enough. There's a reason you're here. Like, you really do believe that you should be here. And that's my approach when I went to training. So I don't know what happened. It was God or whatever it was, but that day, like, I was probably the best player in training. Like, I had an amazing training. And even the coach and the assistant, I spoke to the assistant, I still talk to him. I spoke to him the other day. He lives in Fresno, and he's like, yeah, you had the best training we've seen that day. And he jokes about it, but I just came in and killed it. Like, I just knew mentally, I was like, hey, I belong here. Like, I belong here. I deserve to be here. There's a reason why I'm here today. And then as soon as the training's done, I'm walking away, and about 10 yards away was Graham Smith, who was the GM, and Paul Buckle was the head coach. About 10 yards away from me, like, I just heard him say, like, oh, yeah, should we sign Elliott? Like, nah, he's not good enough. He's not good enough. And I kind of look over, and they're both kind of just giving me, like, a smirk. And they're like, come here. And I'm like, oh, do you want to play for the Sac Republic? And I was like, yeah. And I was like, okay, we're going to sign you. And I was like, I went from calling my old head coach from Fuego on Sunday to driving up Sunday night to trialing for one day and then saying they're going to sign me. And I was like, man, like, what just happened? It was like a whirlwind, And from then, I mean, there was a lot of stuff obviously happens I was there for 4 seasons, but just the way it happened was like, I had to be proactive in like making sure that I'm looking for my opportunities, but also just, good timing and preparation. The other thing was like, I always stayed fit. Like my old head coach from Fuego, his name's Scott Alcorn, was like, you, as a soccer player, you always have to be ready. Like, maybe not 90-minute fit, but you always have to be sharp. And I was still training, but like, if I wasn't training or PDL season was over, I was like, oh, I'll take a break, whatever. Like, imagine I had taken a break, like time off, and like, then I go to preseason or go to trial with Sacramento, and it's like, I wouldn't have been ready, So I think just always constant preparation and being sharp has been worked out for me really well. And yeah, from there we ended up winning conference. We were conference champions that season. So I played the last 7 or 8 games. I think I finished within those games. I had 2 assists. I won like player of the week. My last week I was there. Like, it was just the last week of the normal season. We go to playoffs. We end up losing first round to OC Blues. So like, just for all that to happen that fast was just like, it was very surreal. So. Yeah.